Okay, I think I might have this working. I don't know. I thought I'd got comments working, but yeah, okay.
Okay, I think I might
So I need to turn that down. Right. There we go. Okay, so I might be able to see your comments as well. We'll have to see how we get on. So welcome to Monday Moments. I'm Tim Walter. I'm a house healer and an alternative life coach. This is really a test to see how I can make the live functionality work for us. It's a very peculiar feeling, and I probably could have done a test actually with it off live. But if anybody's out there that wants to ask a question as we go through, that'll be absolutely great. I'll try and deal with it, and I'm sure that as the weeks go by we will get better at this. And my intention is actually to schedule these for a Monday afternoon. Yesterday was quite a difficult day. I had several clients that needed my attention yesterday afternoon, so didn't manage to get a Monday Moments put together, but I will try, subject to these sort of emergencies or pressures of work, shall we say. I will try to get a Monday afternoon, fairly late in the afternoon, and we can do these live. So anybody that's on the Facebook, communicating with me on Facebook, I'll put a link on there, and we'll just see how we get on. It's certainly a very different process. So what I wanted to talk about today, very briefly, because obviously these live events are really all of me umming and ahhing, which is no good for anybody. So what I wanted to talk about was if you do like what you see elsewhere on the channel, then do click subscribe. Please click the thumbs up for anything that you really like and enjoy, and leave comments. It's really I'm really interested in what you guys have to say, and because one of the things is that the reason I'm doing this work at all is because actually I'm doing it to explore what this whole connection to life, the universe, and everything, what this connection to our reality is actually about, and how does it function? What is this mind over matter, this mind matter connection? How does it work for us? That's how I've really ended up doing this work for other people, doing the house healing work. And therefore I'm interested in what you feel, what you find in your subjective reality. We're not looking at objective scientific fact, although we like to try and keep stuff as grounded and common sense as we can. But really it's about hiya, Catherine. Hello. Thanks for joining me. I've got no idea where this is going today. So I'm just explaining that really what this channel is about is trying to get the grounded common sense nature of our existence, of our perception, get that working for us, but also go hand in hand with some objective facts. So some of the things that have been really interesting actually this last week, I had a comment from a guy about his experience of actually interacting with, of all things, lightning. So Stuart, hello, goodness me, that's great to see you. This is really off-putting, I have to say, but it's great to have you there. Thanks, guys. I was talking about this guy who had this comment about the fact that he was interacting with lightning, so interacting with the weather around him. And of course, lightning is really, really interesting because it's an electrical phenomena. And those of us that have walked a more shamanic path and have intuitive understanding even that we can influence the electrical energy fields around us, will know that the shamanic practice of working with the weather is very, very common. We think back even to these wonderful rain dances. I mean, that's probably they're sacrilegious calling them that, but these wonderful rain dances of Native American Indians, for example, and other indigenous peoples throughout the world, that influence on the weather. So it's really, really interesting that we've got people highlighting the fact that they have worked themselves and had a subjective experience of influencing the weather around them. And it's not just about these big dramatic influences that we can become aware of and be bring into our lives. There are all sorts of tiny little things that we can do, and this is really what the whole point of interacting with earth energy is to actually influence and be influenced by these tiny subtleties. It's rather like looking at how we you know, we all love synchronicity, we all love coincidence, and we all love it when the universe shows us a way. Hello, Liv. Hiya. That the universe shows us a way that we're in the flow and that we're in our sort of synchronicitous flow with the universe. We love these big wow moments, but you know, we can get so much reassurance and so much joy and so much satisfaction and so much guidance from the tiniest things. And what I'm really interested in is, I would love you guys, watching now or watching in the future, to leave comments about how you have had experience of interacting with the electrical fields around you in your own lives. It doesn't matter how tiny. Now, what I mean is, I don't mean the physical contact. So I don't mean like turning on a light switch and the lamp blows, you know, I don't mean that. What I mean is that we have a mental influence over our electrical surroundings. And to illustrate that, I just want to sort of tell you a little story that I had in one of my very, very early days of dowsing, when I hadn't long learned to dowse. And what I was realizing then was that, in order to have the conversations with spirit, I would use the dowsing to connect, and my mind would go into a very deep space as I doused, so that my full concentration would be on my conversation with spirit, effectively, as I was dowsing. So I'd hold my rods and they would move yes, no, but my focus would be in here, in the inner universe, right? And on this particular day, I had actually been getting quite wound up by my youngest son. Now, this doesn't illustrate me very well as a good father, but I was getting quite wound up by him. And actually, all I wanted to do was just take some little space for myself and just ask a couple of questions, dowsing, about something completely non-connected to my family. So I stepped outside the back door and I had my rods, and I kind of went into this dowsing mode, and I started dowsing, asking questions, and that's great. And I was aware of how deep I was kind of going with my focus, and because what would happen is that my normal everyday observation would get really quite dark, and I would be really focused in on the pictures that I was seeing and communication I was getting from spirit. So I was off dowsing there just by the back door, and my little son, he came out and started wittering at me, and actually what happened, and I ask his forgiveness, and we've sort of settled it since then, but I actually got really quite angry with him, momentarily just got angry, and I just told him to be quiet. And as I did that, as the anger came up and I was in that kind of altered state of consciousness, if you like, I heard a shriek from my wife in the kitchen, and all the power in the house had gone off. It had, bam, blown the fuse board in the house. Now, yeah, it's coincidence, right? It's coincidence, but we know when it happens to us, we know that coincidence is linked. It is more than coincidence, more than synchronicity even. It is absolutely a sign. Now, there was a lesson there for me, because what I realized is, you know, there is a reason why indigenous peoples choose the characteristics of their shamans. So their shamans are always very, very calm, very even-tempered, very level, very patient. They exhibit all of these wonderful attributes of what a great human being should be, you know, because the last thing you want to do once you go diving into that meditative space is to actually exhibit aspects of anger or these negative aspects, because they can have a very real effect. And again, we can see this sort of example of interacting with the electrical field around us when we look at instances of poltergeist activity. Now, in my house healing work, I've not, you know, actually as yet come across anybody that's actually dealing with a poltergeist as such. There are some interesting examples out there. But what we know about poltergeist activity is that it inevitably has this electrical connection. So usually the human being that it's the instances, the activity is focused around is a female, usually quite a young female, and they will exhibit, there will be signs in the environment around that person of electrical activity, of things going, of lights blowing, of even of moving, swinging lamps, you know. So the electrical field of that person in their subconscious is interacting with the electrical field of the external environment. And why am I going on about this today? because it all comes back to this whole thing about what is earth energy. You know, we use this label, and it has to be an electromagnetic field. And if we can influence electromagnetic fields by blowing things up, by blowing fuses, then we can for sure influence that electrical field just by exhibiting love, compassion, all of those positive aspects that we want to. And it's as simple as that. And that really is all I wanted to say today. And just practice with this live link to you. And thank you for the three of you. I don't know whether you're still there. I've got no idea. I can't see. I don't know whether you disappear at some point or not. So we'll learn how to use this. And in fact, there are now 8 people watching, which is lovely. And if any of you others want to just put a thumbs up or something on the comments, then that would be great. Oh, Stuart, thank you. You're still there. That's wonderful. So go on. Have you got a question? Because we can try. I can try and answer if you can put a succinct question in there. See how this goes. And I don't know. And Anne, hello, Anne. Hi. Nice to see you. This is so unusual, but actually really nice that you were there, all of you. And I know that this sort of topic is not like, phrasing a question that's succinct, for example, is really difficult. But anything, I don't, whatever. If you want to ask about dowsing, or even just share something that you're able to succinctly pop down in the comment about anything that's happened to you in relation to electrical or the earth energy that you might find in your house. Anyway, you guys, if you want to try that, then try that. I'm not going to be on here much longer because, as I say, it's really an experiment more than anything else. And I really want to be able to develop this. Okay, Catherine, fantastic, well done. Anger is normal and human. Yeah, it is. And electrics are fragile all over the UK. People can't allow anger. All right. Or don't know how to be with it for appropriate assertion. Oh, no, that's a really good point. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, that is really good. Oh, thank you, Anne, for that appreciation. I'm Stuart, such a slow typist. It would take much too time. Okay, well, thanks. Catherine, thank you for that expression as well. Thank you for that support. But that's a really, really good point of yours, Catherine. Really good point, because we are all, I think, often brought up to actually, we're just brought up really badly, aren't we, generally, because we don't really know how to respond to our own emotions half the time. And especially, I mean, it's not only true of just men, but, men are classic at just kind of keeping everything down. And then it just suddenly just erupts into a chaotic outburst. But yes, there are, absolutely. So Catherine's saying big electrics around the Glastonbury tour. I had to sit down. Yeah, when I went to Glastonbury, I got completely sort of pushed out of my body, just standing right on the top there. And so these sort of experiences, these out-of-body type experiences, probably are linked with, this kind of electrical field. Had to sit down, yeah, had to all ground ourselves. So, yeah, managing our emotions, that's where I was. That's, isn't it? That's part of self-development, isn't it? I think that's partly why, we have all this time as a child where we get quite a lot of trauma and, things to deal with. And we spend the rest of our lives dealing with those in the self-development way. It's a structure that we have at the moment, and I think the more and more that we can actually learn to be ourselves, then that's the greatest gift that we can provide the whole planet, really. And that's the greatest way of almost honoring Mother Earth, is to actually learn to be ourselves. And that, of course, is being in touch with our emotions and expressing them in a suitable way. And again, that's great. David Wood, hello, David. David says, I'd like to earth myself by having my bare feet on the ground in nature. I've heard you can also do this indoors by connecting copper wire to an outside earthing rod. Yeah. Well, I've certainly heard of that sort of thing, David. There's a fella called Paul Gerry, who we've done a little bit of work with, who's quite a kind of scientific, logical-minded chap. He actually, I think, is quite into earthing as well. You know, there's an absolute. There's a definite health benefit. I mean, I don't know where the stats are, you know, for this kind of health benefit of earthing and being grounded, but walking bare feet, or connecting yourself to an earth rod. Just be a bit careful when you're doing that. You know, don't get involved in trying to set up any kind of electromagnetic field. I mean, you know, in the physical sense, don't start electrifying your bed or something. Just allow it to go. But yeah, walking barefoot on the earth, there's nothing better. But you know what? If you're barefooted, and you are connecting, if you manage to find your power center, the earth energy power center in your garden, if you've got a bit of space, or in a park, if you live in a city and you haven't got a garden there, do it with an outside earth energy center. But if you stand, or even then just, you know, stand barefoot on that earth energy power center, that really does help you feel that alignment, that connection. And really just try and be as mindful as possible in that. I mean, don't do it in this sort of weather, you'll freeze to death. But in the summer, you know, when it's warm enough, then go for it. Thanks, Catherine. Okay, let's not overdo the the congrats. It's a very, very different experience, clearly, doing the live stream. So what I'd say is, and I always say to everybody, you know, there's over 3,000 subscribers now on the channel, and of course not everybody comes back, you know who does. So we get a few hundred views per show, as it were, and if there's a few hundred people each time connecting with the earth and finding their center, even just on the day of that broadcast, you know, then we've done something that's significant and helpful for not only individuals but for everybody. So hello, Sensley. Hello, Tim. When we douse for something in a house, do we need to connect with any source like Archangel God when we do it? Well, actually, that's a really good question. Thank you for that. That is a really good question. When you douse, right, when you start as it depends entirely upon your where you are spiritually, right? Where you are as a person, where you are in your self-development route, where you are as an energy being. Because if you are, let's say, if you have a very strong belief system in your spirituality, so therefore you have your own perception of your own spiritual belief, right? Does that make sense? So let's say that you believe in the Archangel, let's say Archangel Michael, right? Let's say you have a very strong faith in Archangel Michael as a protector, for example. Then you may wish to douse and ask Archangel Michael those questions, and you may start by dowsing and asking him those questions. You may then change as you go on, you know, as you walk your path and as your dowsing develops and as you develop, because for sure, as soon as you start asking any sort of questions when you're dowsing with a spiritual intention, then you're on your path and you'll be moving forward with it, right? So your relationship to everything around you is going to change. So to start, but, you know, there are many, many, many dowsers who don't douse with a spiritual point of view. They are looking just specifically for a yes or no. And so what are they interrogating? What are they responding to? Hey, Digsy. Hey, that's great. Good to see you. So what are they responding to? Well, they're responding their intuition, obviously, is that. But, you know, what becomes very, very clear the more you do this work, and I'm sharing, you know, you guys know this, is that we are the physical bit of the energy field. So as we douse, we're just accessing the other part of our real selves, and we are accessing that non-physical aspect of ourself. And in that sense, you know, our energy field goes right out and merges with everybody else's and everything else's. I'm part of these trees over here. You can't see them, but I'm part of these trees as much as I am a part of just me, whatever this thing is that we call me. So when you're dowsing, you're connecting, even if you have no spiritual belief to start with, and you're just connecting to your own intuition, as it were, then you're actually opening up a pathway to that fuller self, to that bigger self. And what I mean by that expression is that I'm not saying that the archangels do not exist in their own separateness, right? I'm saying that they are a part of us, we are a part of them, we are all connected in that way. And it becomes a spiritual platitude, it becomes a very trite thing to say, but the more you walk down that path, then the more you realize that actually it's true. So it's not a platitude, it's true. You know? So I hope that's answered the question. Do you need to protect yourself is another issue that people ask. And really, dowsing is the safest form of accessing any intuition and accessing any subtle energy, right? It's the safest way. There is a psychic protection exercise, all is one, Dixie, absolutely. There is a psychic protection exercise amongst the videos. And I do like to recommend that people do start to do that as a kind of a habit to get into, because you never know when your dowsing might take you somewhere that actually is a little bit uncomfortable, has some energies around it that isn't particularly beneficial. And let's face it, you know, as I said earlier on, when we deal with trauma, childhood trauma will throw up a lot of energy that is actually less than beneficial for us. And that's the point of healing. And as we heal, we change, we shift, and energy shifts. And half the time it's like, sorry about this, but going in the corner and vomiting to actually go through a healing mode. So that's not kind of like beneficial. That's not great energy. So that can happen in emotional sense as well. As we heal, we can come across some emotional tough times. And if you've done the protection work, if you've put that simple exercise in place, then you're actually kind of like, you're asking for the most help that you can get when you're doing that. So you're as protected as you can be for that point. Doesn't mean to say you're going to avoid detrimental energy, but it means that you're more likely to be in a place where you can cope with it as it comes to you. Okay, hope that makes a little bit of sense. I do feel like I'm kind of rabbiting. I feel like a rabbit in the headlights a little bit, but it's great. I love it. I thank you so much for all for popping those comments in. I think what I've learned from this exercise is that there's now 11 people watching. That's wonderful. Thank you. Hi to all 11 of you. What I've learned from this exercise is that I need to have a little bit of a structure here, and I need to give you guys some notice that I'm going to be doing this, because that, you know, it's only fair. I have to say, I didn't actually expect anybody to show up. So 12, hey, welcome. I'm going to stop in a minute, but welcome anyway. Oh, 13 now, that's great. Okay, so this is scary. I'm going to stop the stream just as you're all joining. But I apologize. What I said right at the start was I'm going to do the Monday Moments as a live stream. And I know it's Tuesday. Yesterday I had to deal with some clients, you know, that just took over my time, and that's absolutely fine. That's as it should be. But what I will try and do is to set, we'll get to a regular time on a Monday afternoon, so that we can get folks from the USA joining in. I don't know. I mean, some of you, I mean, Diggs is down in Australia or New Zealand, I can't remember which. Yeah, healing is voltage. Yeah, good one. Good point. That's a great title. But so we'll do this more regularly on a Monday afternoon, maybe 5 o'clock. I don't know. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what people think. In fact, come on, anybody that's watching this after the actual stream, and you guys, pop in the comments section. Australia. Well, I knew it was one of them. So thanks, Dixie. Pop in the comments when would be the best time for you. Okay. Hey, Anne, you're in the US. That's great. Of course, I've got no idea because you cover so many time zones over there. Could be late at night. I don't know. Let's not go there. But anyway, Monday afternoons, UK time. Let's try and get a time that suits as many people as we want to at the moment. We'll start from there and just see how it goes. Liv, Norway. Yeah, wonderful. Well done, Liv. Brilliant. Norway's a really interesting country. Really interesting. I've never been there, but you have, as far as I understand it, as a culture, you have quite an acceptance of the elemental world over there, as do, now it might be politically incorrect to say this, but as do the Icelandic folk. And there are certainly, I've heard that in Iceland they don't build roads without consulting the elementals. So great. And 7:30 a.m. Oh, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. Thanks for joining. Catherine, you're in the USA too. Good heavens. Oh, well done. So, what can I say? Shows how wrong I can be. That's cool. That's really nice. Really nice. Okay. Any last question that could be popped down in a little sentence, and I'll try and answer, and we'll leave it at that. Great time, is it? Really, Catherine. I have to say, I'm really glad that I actually found how to figure those comments out, because that makes it so much more sensible for everybody. Oh, is it? Okay, Dixie, perfect time for you, my son. That's good. Why am I calling you my son? I don't know. Sorry, mate. Yeah, 11:30. So what would happen for you, Digsy, if we did it like another 5 hours time? Is that in the middle of your... That's 5 a.m. in the morning? Now just before bed, right? Okay. Oh, you... Well, I'm not going to respond to that. So yeah, so you'd be asleep then if we did it late in the afternoon. Anyway, just Catherine, coffee. Yeah, I'd love to hear about calling in elementals. Well, okay. Tell you what we can do. We can try and do a whole live stream about elementals. How does that sound? That's something we could do, wouldn't it? Because even if you don't consider elementals actually as the little folk that are tangible or can be perceived, then if you even think, oh, okay, well, I might like to quite work with elementals, you know, so asking the fairies to assist, or working in the garden with elementals, which is a great one, then you can perceive them as just an energy field. Just think of them as an energy field, and communicate with the energy field just by putting out intention, because it's all intention based, don't forget. Yeah, okay, Dixie. Well, maybe we'll change it around a bit, because that's a bit late if we do it late afternoon. And this is a good time for you, right? So sort of late morning here in the UK. Okay, so yeah, let's pull this to a close. What I will leave you with is that thought that all of this work, all of this subtle energies work, you know, I'm not going to say things that you know already, but I'm just stressing the importance of intention, because as Catherine there asking about calling in elementals, well, for one thing, you don't want to call them into your house particularly, but if you're working with them outside, then you just need to set the intention, focus on how you perceive elementals to be, what you perceive them to be, and ask, talk in your head, set that intention, ask them questions. If you're dowsing, then of course with rods, for example, you get yes and no replies, and you know, in that way you can build up your own mediumship abilities, if you like, because you'll initially start, I mean, I don't know where you are on the scale. Initially you start with the yes no responses, but you know, the more you douse and practice, then the less you become aware of yes no, and the more you hear that internal conversation, which is not an internal one, it's with another energy field that you're working with in here. So yeah, let's talk about elementals. Whether we'll do, yeah, okay, we'll do that next week, if that's all right. Let's see how that goes. Okay, guys, well, thank you very, very much for your interaction, and I know that several have left now, so let's close it off, and I'll try and figure out how to do that, and see you next time, or I'll see what comments you have. Okay, so Stuart, okay, thanks, mate, much appreciated. Yeah, thanks. Earth energy and electricity, yeah. Cheers, Dixie. Thanks for that, mate. Okay, I really don't know how to finish this. I guess I'll go back to Hangouts and sort it out there. Okay, cheers, guys. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. No, I'm still here, aren't I?